Alrighty then. Another day, another review. Oh boy, cannot wait. Let's be real, guys. I may be a Cartoon Network fan, but Nickelodeon was my second favorite TV channel growing up. With shows like Danny Phantom, Hey Arnold, and The Wild Thornberrys, just to name a few. But around the time more popular shows came around, I kinda outgrew the channel entirely after a SpongeBob episode I last watched. The one where SpongeBob and the gang will have to make a movie about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. But that doesn't mean that I've given up on Nickelodeon. Not at all. It's just that I'm expecting well-written shows with purpose and clarity. But ultimately, what better way to start off this trilogy retrospective by looking at one of the most beloved animated shows of all time. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Yeah, I know it's called The Legend of Aang, but that's just a European copy, okay? The show first aired in early 2005. That quickly became one of Nickelodeon's best shows ever produced. It lasted for 3 seasons, but the story continued in both a comic book series run and an animated movie that's supposed to be released later this year. The legacy of the Avatar continued with 2 sequel continuations as well, The Legend of Korra and Seven Havens. This may sound controversial to many people out there, but I never watched the show before until now. To prepare myself for this review, I went ahead and only watched the first season of the show. It is a fantastic start so far. Great 2D animation, excellent voice acting, moral lessons in each episode, and some of the most important backstory elements on the main characters. Definitely looking forward to the later seasons down the line. Despite my opinion on the show so far, my expectations for the video game under the same name was seriously low. Making a video game based on the television show? It's never a good idea. Obviously, today's game was released into multiple consoles, including the PS2 version. It was developed by THQ Studio Australia, a company responsible for the later sequels, along with a few other Nickelodeon games worth exploring at later down the line. Despite this change of directions that the game is going, does it remain true to the source material? Or is this an embarrassing story that's not supposed to be told in the first place? Get your water-bending skills sharp, because this is my review of the TV series tie-in game, Avatar: The Last Airbender. Instead of following the events of the first season, this game follows an original story, bridging the gap between seasons 1 and 2. After the events of Book 1, both Katara and Sokka agree to help Aang with his Avatar training, when rumors are spreading that machines are starting to appear, kidnapping selected benders for someone's own purpose.
Does this make sense to anyone?
In this action RPG, players could choose 1 out of 4 characters. Still, you could switch between these team members at any time. Aang with his airbending, Sokka with his boomerang, Katara with her waterbending, and Haru with his earthbending. But he was replaced with another earthbender in the second season. He did make a cameo in the game's sequel, The Burning Earth, but the game never explained his departure, which did confuse me to some extent. Whenever you are close to a hidden treasure chest, a blocked path, or a person injured during a fight, a focus mode will appear. Just press the correct buttons to complete your focus sequence. If you press a button too late, the sequence will delay and you'll have to press the right button again. For some reason, tapping the correct button a bit too early does count too, but I think that is worth mentioning. This is a good change of pace for whether unlocking every secret you can find or helping people around you. In every village, someone complained about missing items or food yet to be delivered. Thankfully, Momo was there to help. As Momo, you can scout around for hidden items and pick them up. Each item contains a certain amount of experience, greatly improving your party's skills and performance. Once you have found them all, you'll return to the person who has assigned to you, and they'll reward you with even more experience points and items that will help you in your quest. And these guys won't be the only ones who needed help. At first I thought this is an action-adventure game, something that I am familiar with. But then I quickly found out that there are some RPG elements in here. In terms on how your choices matter to the story, that barely does anything. What works though is the equipment customization. With enough copper, the main currency in this game, you can purchase new clothing and equipment that have their own ups and downs when wearing them. But rarely, you'll find a set that has huge stats on your group, equipping them with all 6 items, and their stats will skyrocket, making your characters more powerful. With enough copper, you can purchase items and clothing by accessing the village shops. Every level has those lying around. You can also craft new equipment by gathering enough items and materials, which is a nice touch. In addition to the shop owners, the townspeople may also require assistance. You can identify them by the blue icons above their heads. By talking to them, you can learn about their needs and how to complete their side quests. More quests reward you with experience points, but sometimes citizens will provide bonus items to aid you in your journey. All 4 characters share an experience bar when leveling up. With enough experience, a new point will be added into their skill set. With the moveset point system, you can remove points and add them to a skill you want to add to your character at any time. But once you reach level 20, you won't have any more points to obtain, so choose your skills wisely. If for any reason you are tired of going through the main story, there's the 4 Nations minigame for you to try out. To win, you have to match the first tile while your opponent selects a different tile to advance. Match your tiles until either player doesn't have the correct tile to keep moving. Either that or you run out of tiles first. You can win up to 3 prizes, and then you can choose to play the minigame again just for fun. There's also an avatar tile, where it can match any tile you want, which is a huge advantage on the playing board. When completing certain levels 100%, you unlock special features, including a level art design gallery on how the game is made, a storyboard gallery that focuses on how the original story is going forward, and a character design feature that sees what characters look like in the game. If you haven't completed the final chapter fully, there is a cheat code that lets you unlock the character design feature anyway, though I have no idea why that code was there to begin with. And speaking of cheat codes, just enter a 5-digit code number and it'll unlock more than a handful of advantages. Increased damage for your characters, infinite wealth or status like chi or health, and unlocking all treasure maps, which I used in my playthrough. Lastly, there is a cheat code for one-hit dishonor, where enemies and boss battles fall in one hit. But the code only works with the character you control. Your allies, meanwhile, will have standard attack damage.
Ha! Is that all you got? I guess not.
Picking the best chapter in the game for me was a bit of a neck and neck. I was gonna pick the Air Temple as the best chapter because of the puzzle solving and tough enemies to fight against, but after enough consideration, I'm going with a hidden island on this one. Despite some of its flaws, I still think this chapter works because of its storytelling and level design. Despite being the longest in the game, Omashu is the worst chapter for me. I know it is a big city and there's a ton of stuff to do, but there are many things wrong here. The amount of backtracking sucks. The Earth Nation treats the Avatar's group like a stupid cookie cutter, and the worst thing about this chapter, that it has very little or nothing to do with the story's turning point. Even the famous catchphrase didn't stick the landing for me.
My cabbages! Guards, Off with their heads! One for each cabbage!
Yeah, still not convinced. The obvious praise that this game has right off the bat is the charm and charisma from the animated series. It works unbelievably well here. A lot of love and care went into this game and the developers pulled it off. THQ Studio Australia did an outstanding job with the overall presentation of a video game like this, including the returned voice acting and level design choices. I have tackled several action RPGs before, but I'm surprised that this is a short game, like a minimum of 3 to 5 hours. Maybe even longer than that if going for 100% completion. Despite having only 7 chapters, this is an interesting experience to look at. Ultimately, it pales in comparison to other fantastic titles like Tales of Symphonia or Kingdom Hearts. As it stands, however, this action RPG represented itself truly well. I think this is the exact same problem with the Stitch prequel game, in terms of the original story. But it had to bring up some new story elements about the sudden rise of the machines in the elemental world of Avatar, or even new character development with Haru. But the story wasn't told enough for me to care. The Rise of the Machine storyline was somewhat paper thin, but it does raise a good amount of suspense in some areas. However, the story could have been told better if it weren't for the textbook style storytelling. Oh, so dull! Plus, it is almost a ripoff of the Terminator series, which is a serious downgrade from originality. Omashu isn't the only level that suffers from the amount of backtracking. Who am I kidding? The entire game suffers from it! Sure, action RPGs do require backtracking for things and returning to characters and whatnot, but this is seriously overdoing it. Chapters 1 and 2 are the only ones that doesn't take too long to progress through the story, but the rest of the chapters drag on to level grinding. Oy, this is gonna hurt, but I have to speak my mind about this mistake. There are 3 underdeveloped characters that need to put their foot down. Let's start with the obvious character, Zuko. Similar to Captain Gantu, Zuko is only doing his job to capture the Avatar, and that's it. Nothing else to explore further here, before any hardcore fans of the show or the Avatar community in general will say anything and corrected me about him. That's what the animated series is there for, to build a redemption story arc for the character. The writers of the show know what they are doing to Zuko, and for what I've seen from season 1, there are only a few foreshadowing moments here and there. In all honesty, it's only a matter of time before things go haywire. Next comes Haru, an earthbender who joined the gang for this adventure. Despite an epic moment from him in Chapter 4 and a few interesting details about his character, there's nothing about Haru that I can understand. To me, he is just one-noted. Although he only appeared in 1 episode, it's nice to see some character development from him. But to me, this wasn't enough. And last but certainly not least, there's Leon, the maker of the so-called machines that she's been conjured up. Personally, this is one of those characters that I just cannot stand. Personally, I will go on how much I really do not like this character, but I don't necessarily hate Leon from the very beginning. Not at all. To sum it up, I only thought that she is a wasted potential, never to be seen or heard from the series ever again, aside from her cameo in the sequel. The cheat codes are making things too easy for casual players. I know they were supposed to make the game easier, quote unquote, but the codes themselves ruined the gameplay experience for me, being unfair in the process. Plus, in some chapters, there's a massive glitch causing you to fall through the ground. And that's not just earth bending by accident, but that's just the gameplay's fault. I stumbled upon this glitch twice in my playthrough, and I had to save my progress and restart my PS2 again. Thankfully, the game didn't have corrupted data, unlike a certain game! But that amount of trouble is bound to happen for those unlucky enough to stumble upon it.
Obviously.
You're just jealous because you weren't wise enough to work it out.
Oh yeah, we should all be wise like Aang.
Yeah, I know I have a lot to say about the tie-in video game, but before must have been a new look for me. Anyway, a lot of you may be wondering, since you have seen the first season, which one is your favorite? Well, here are 5 of them that I've considered the best so far. The Southern Air Temple, Imprisoned, Winter Solstice, Parts 1 and 2, The Great Divide, and The Storm. But let me know your favorite episodes in the comments down below. But no spoilers, please. Just trying to keep it to a minimum. So, that said, does this tie-in game hold up? Well, to be fair, it came pretty close to be a good game, but it just came just a bit short. Despite some severe issues I've stumbled upon, the game wear itself down for me to have a good time, resulting to be a big disappointment. To be fair, the game isn't flawed, far from that, but it is a wasted potential for a tie-in video game to expand upon the source material. Casual players would probably skip this one because of a lackluster story, unstable gameplay at rare times, and the entirety of itself being non-canon. As a kids game, I would cautiously recommend this one to them, but only if they are familiar with the animated series. Just be aware of the lack of originality and the wasted potential in terms of gameplay.
All in a day's work for the Avatar, Momo.
Master the Elements. Yeah, we barely just gotten started with that. Okay, to be honest, I could see why people would prefer the animated series rather than playing the video games, but there has to be better potential than that one over there, right? Well, when we continue the Trilogy Retrospective, we'll find that answer in the sequel, The Burning Earth, just not right now. For a game like this is a rocky start towards something as glorious as the animated series. But unfortunately, it failed to deliver what was given, though barely. Next time, a different kind of hype for superhero fans has recently gotten out of hand. With a brand new day around the corner, literally, it would make sense to enter Marvel territory for the first time and look at the first tie-in video game that I've actually touched years ago. As it stands right now, I needed some time to breathe and think about where The Last Airbender is going. But don't worry, at the time of this video's release, I'm in process of watching Season 2. Don't worry about that. As soon as I finish watching the second season, I'll get started on The Burning Earth and we'll go from there. Thanks again for watching and have yourselves a good day.